Hi, in this screencast I'd like to show you how to integrate ActiveMQ and JBoss application server. ActiveMQ is a top popular and powerful open source messaging server. So let's start. First of all, we need to download Apache ActiveMQ distribution zip file from Apache Foundation website. I did it before this screencast, and now I'm simply extract contents of this zip file into JBoss application server home directory. Let's do this. Okay, we've done. Now let's review default configuration of Apache ActiveMQ. Here it is. Transport connectors, URI TCP, localhost 61616. This is default port of ActiveMQ transport connector using TCP/IP protocol. We'll be using default configuration of ActiveMQ for simplicity, and you can refer to additional details of configuration, for example, security, etc. Okay, let's start ActiveMQ. Okay, our ActiveMQ is started. Let's go to the administrative console, localhost 8161/admin. Let us switch localhost 8161/admin. Here it is. This is default ActiveMQ administrative console. Let's view through queues. Nothing. Topics clear. Subscribers clear. Connection clear. Scheduled. Nothing. Okay. Now we are ready to test our ActiveMQ using simple Java project. Let's switch to the JBoss Developer Studio, create new Java project, Java project. Here it is. Let's call it ActiveMQ test up. Okay, and finish. Actually, ActiveMQ distribution is already shipped with several examples. I'll show you their location. Let's go to the JBoss home. JBoss home. Example SRC. We'll be using consumer and producer tools. Let's import them into our ActiveMQ test project. Okay, new class consumer tool, new class producer tool. Okay, let's copy paste everything from our source files. Okay, consumer tool, producer tool. Here we are. Now let's add some dependencies. Let's go to the Java build path, add external jars, and we'll point out and we'll reuse all jar files inside Apache ActiveMQ home lib directory. Here it is. Okay. One more import. and another one. Here it is. Let's start our producer tool and verify that there are several messages generated and put into the ActiveMQ queue. Let's run it as simple Java application. Let's start with producer, Java application. Okay. Let's look through the console. Okay. You can see that we've connected to the localhost 616164 port and published several messages into the tool default queue. We'll be using non-persistent messages, which means that when the ActiveMQ server is stopped, all messages are lost. Let's go to the administrative console and look through the contents of the tool default queue. Queues, tool default. As you can see, there are generated several messages. I think there are 10 messages here with simple contents. Message 0 sent at okay. So we can see that ActiveMQ is working. Now let's consume those messages from this queue. Let's start consumer tool. Run as Java application. Here it is. Our consumer tool has connected to the ActiveMQ and read all messages from tool default queue using non-durable subscriptions. Let's go to the admin tool once again and refresh it. As you can see, there are no pending messages inside tool default queue. Messages inquired 10, messages deployed 10. Okay. Now we've verified that ActiveMQ is deployed and ready. Now let's continue with integration it and JBoss application server. Let's switch to the home directory of ActiveMQ and JBoss application server. Let's navigate to the lib directory optional and locate ActiveMQ RAR. Now let's extract contents of RAR into the server, default startup profile, deploy, ActiveMQ RAR directory. Okay, everything is extracted. Now let's create ActiveMQ data source descriptor. Let us copy paste it. ActiveMQ GMS ds.xml. Ouch. Not directory. This is descriptor. Here it is. I'll simply copy paste everything from my Notepad++. Actually, you can download this descriptor from activemqapache.org/integrating Apache ActiveMQ with JBoss. Here it is. This is just an example. Let's change something inside this file. Remove version here, ActiveMQ here, here. These are administrative beans, and these are Jindy naming conventions for Queue Connection Factory and Topic Connection Factory. Let's fix our name. Rar. Yes. Here it is, ActiveMQ rar.rar. ActiveMQ rar.rar. Now let's switch to JBoss Developer Studio and check that our server is using default profile. Let's minimize our console. Runtime environment, default. Yes, our application server is using default profile, and we are ready to start our application server. Let's do this. Start. Okay, let's switch back to the console. It might take a while. Mail service. Okay. JBoss AS started. Okay. Now let's locate ActiveMQ. Okay. ActiveMQ rar.rar. Let's copy this into the notepad. Here it is. Admin object bound to ActiveMQ queue outbound and topic inbound, as well as connection factory bidding. ActiveMQ queue connection factory, topic connection factory. Here it is. We've just successfully integrated ActiveMQ and JBoss application server. Now we are ready to consume queue connection factory from Enterprise Java Bean. Okay, let's do this. We'll be using schedule test EGB project we've created in our previous screencasts. Okay, and we'll be using my simple periodical task, which uses new schedule annotation to create a GMS message every 10 seconds and enqueue it into the ActiveMQ queue. So let's do this. First of all, let's remove this login logic from simple quartz job in order to avoid flooding our console. Okay, let's start. First of all, let's create initial context. Using its default constructor, JavaX naming. Okay, let's surround it with try catch. Here it is. Now let's look up for our queue connection factory using Jindy name. Ouch. Here it is. Enqueue connection factory, context, lookup, here it is, and let's cast it to factory, here it is, and add import declaration. Change to, here it is. Let's print type of our connection factory to the console. System out dot print line. Let's take it get class to string. Here it is. Now let's create connection. Factory. Create connection. Okay. Let's import it. And add catch clause. Here it is. Now let's start our connection and create session. Create session. We won't be using transacted session. False. And we'll use session auto acknowledge option. Now our session is created. Let's create queue. Session. Create queue. Let's call it by class name of our simple periodical task. Get class to string plus dot queue. Here it is. Let's import it from JBoss GMS. Okay. Now we are ready with our queue. Let's create message producer. Message producer session. Create producer, which will use our queue. Ouch. Okay. Now let's set delivery mode for our producer. Set delivery mode. Okay, we'll be using delivery mode non-persistent. Delivery mode non-persistent. This means that our GMS messages will be flushed, will be lost if ActiveMQ will be shut it down. This is just an example. Yeah? Okay. Now let's create text message. Text message using our session object. Create text message. Okay. Let's add some content to the message. String new date. Okay, let's import Java util date to string and pass this content to the constructor of on the factory method create text message. Okay, we are ready to send our message. Let's do this. Producer send TextMessage. Yes, we've done this. Now let's close one by one. Producer, close. Let's close session. Okay. And finally, let's close connection. In real-time scenario, we'll be using try catch finally and move all this stuff: connection, session, producer, outside the try block, and close this stuff inside finally. But for simplicity, let's deploy our simple periodical task onto the application server, and let's see what's happening. Here it is. Let's open console. Okay. Here it is. Task has been performed. Task has been performed. ActiveMQ connection factory. Oh, there is no new line here. Never mind. You see, our Q connection factory concrete implementation is actually ActiveMQ connection factory. And every time our task is performed, we're putting one GMS message inside some queue. Let's switch to the web admin of our ActiveMQ. Here it is. This is a queue from our first testing sample of the ActiveMQ itself. Let's refresh it. Here it is. We've got another queue, class src.mySimplePeriodicalTask queue. There are 7 pending messages here. Let's refresh. 9, 9, 9. Let's wait a bit. 10, etc. Okay, let's remove our scheduled test from the server. So our MySimplePeriodicalTask bin will be removed, stopping it, and our queue has 11 messages in it. Okay, thank you. In our next screencast, we'll use message-driven bin, which will handle incoming messages both from some queue or some topic. Thank you very much. Goodbye.